what do you think are the challenges that you face, or anybody working in the space of empowering Indian women through skill development? What are the key challenges that you all face on ground?
I think one of the biggest challenges is a loss of investment in women, because we see that we skill oftentimes young women starting from when they're around 18 years old. But we know from research that's been done in India, such as Ashoka University's Genpak Women's Center, they've done a study back in 2018 that was released called The Predicament of Returning Mothers. And this study is showing that about 50% of women, by the time they're 30 years old, are leaving the workforce due to childcare. So that investment that we make in upskilling young women is then completely lost when the women leave the workforce. And it's a loss to the women at an individual level, but it's a loss to the national level as well. And so that's one of the biggest challenges I see personally, is that this huge investment being done by many CSR actors is then kind of by age 30, it's obsolete. So we have to think, how can we sustain this investment? And what does it look like to work with companies that are upskilling, and foundations and NGOs across the ecosystem of social impact and education, and look at how we sustain women in jobs and how do we create these enabling conditions. So this loss of investment is one. Another is that how do we look at more holistic conditions? So skilling is just one piece of the puzzle, but how do we look at other conditions we know are keeping women out of the workforce, like access to quality childcare, safety and transport? That's a big one. 87% of women are leaving the workforce due to safety issues, either en route or at the workplace. So how do we look at increasing and enhancing safety in conversation and collaboration with actors like the police and like NGOs and companies themselves? So that's another. Another factor that we need to look at is how do we increase male allies within the care economy. So men typically have two jobs if they're working. They're taking care of their household and they're doing their formal job. And so how do we increase the segment of males that are actively involved in the household and involved in jobs that have traditionally been part of the care economy? So these are some factors that need to be looked at in addition to the importance of skilling. And then I would say also, how do we look at this trajectory of completing a skilling course and converting that skilling into a job placement? Another factor or another challenge we see is that oftentimes skilling programs are not necessarily linked directly with job placement at the end of the day. And so while a significant investment has been made by foundations and NGOs to upskill women, and in many cases men as well, and youth, then without job placement guaranteed, sometimes we don't see as high as anticipated conversion rate into the jobs. And I think that also is linked with some of the earlier challenges mentioned around safety, mobility.